All right. So if I had to start my calisthenics journey all over again, these are the 5 things I would do to make sure that I reach a high level and I'm still maintaining my strength and a lean physique all while doing it. And the first step is to figure out what exactly you want to do in calisthenics, what type of calisthenic athletes you want to be. And I would say there's 4 main areas. The first being sets and reps. So do you want to be someone that can build crazy amounts of endurance? And do you know those high rep sets that you see on YouTube, whether it's like 50 push-ups straight into 40 pull-ups, straight into 30 muscle-ups right after that? Do you really want to be an endurance-based athlete? The second branch of calisthenics I would say is weighted calisthenics, and that's really just adding weight to your pull-ups, your dips, handstand push-ups, even weighted push-ups. And do you really want to just build that raw strength while building a really dense physique? And that's definitely an area, a branch that you could go into. But me personally, I choose a third area of calisthenics, which is skill-based. So that's things like planches, front levers, Victorians, Maltese, handstands, and all the handstand variations. So I'm more of a skill-based athlete myself. And then the fourth way is acrobatics. Do you want to flip around on the bars or just learn crazy flips and, kind of lean into parkour if you have that background? So those are the 4 main areas. And by choosing the branch of calisthenics you want to be, the type of calisthenic athlete you want to be, then you're better able to structure your training. I spent way too long in the beginning of my journey trying to do kind of like a mix of everything. And I really slowed my progress down because I didn't know how to progress and plan my workouts to achieve my goals because my goals were all over the place. So really figuring out what type of athlete you want to be is going to speed up your progress because then your training is more streamlined and you're not second guessing if something is worth it in the long run. Now, the second area that I would focus on is really just not forgetting my basics. Even if you choose another method that's not sets and reps, you still need to remember your foundational skills because as you get higher in the calisthenics world and your training gets harder and your strength increases, you cannot forget your basics. A lot of people, including myself when I was starting out, as I was starting to learn these progressions and progress my strength, I would stop doing push-ups, dips, and simple pull-ups because I was trying to leave room in my program to do other hard calisthenics movements. But then I plateaued and my strength stalled because those basics are what builds your foundational strength. And by keeping them in your routine, your strength is going to keep increasing. Say I was a beginner, I can only do 2 pull-ups. When I'm learning front lever, I can never stop doing pull-ups because that's what's going to keep building my strength and making sure that I have that basic foundational strength to then exert that strength that I built with the foundation into harder calisthenics movements. So never, ever forget your foundation in calisthenics. And those are things like pull-ups, push-ups, handstand push-ups. Once you get past the intermediate level, yes, that becomes a foundational strength move for you. Things like grip training, so just hanging, and then your core training. Now leads me to my third point. You need to become a master of your core. Everything about calisthenics is about moving your entire body weight through space, and at the center of that is your core. And I don't just mean your six-pack muscles, I mean your entire core. So things like hanging leg raises, dragon flags, L-sits, hollow holds, back extensions, and rotations. Yes, you still need to be doing back extensions and rotations because they may not directly carry over to your calisthenics skills, and I could argue that they do. I might do that in a later video, but you still need to have a functional body for life. I don't believe in just training for one sport. I believe in training your body for, just daily living. So I still strongly recommend that you incorporate some extension movements, that's back movements or anti-extensions, or just rotation or anti-rotation movements into your training because you want to train your entire core holistically and not just your rectus abdominis, which again is that six-pack muscle. So making sure that your core training is a main part of every workout. You don't have to do it every day or every workout, but just make sure that you're doing it plenty of times in a week and you're progressing your strength in the core movements because that's going to allow you to keep you injury-free or reduce your injury risk, and just making sure they progress in all areas of your body. And especially if you go into later on into skill movements or acrobatics, you're gonna need that core strength. Fourth, I would obsess over the little things that don't seem like they really matter. And that really just means that you're training your forearms and your wrists because a lot of things, especially handstands, planches, or just dependent on the grip and bars you have access to, can really strain your wrists. Just making sure that your wrists are strong. And that's again by grip training and just training all the movements of the wrist. ulnar deviation, radial deviation, pronation, extension, making sure you're flexible and strong as well. Things like hanging from the bar to open up your shoulders, training your core again, making sure that your shoulder mobility is improving as well, and just making sure that your scapular health in general is just, and your rotator cuff is just, you're training that and you're not just, throwing in 2 minutes of it at the end of the workout. No, you need to make sure that every single warm-up you're working on these little things. That's really going to allow you, by focusing on these little things, that's going to allow your big muscles and your big strength to basically exert itself when you're doing these movements. So don't forget the little things when it comes to calisthenics. In fact, I could argue that these little things are more important than training your bigger muscles or the bigger movements, because the best way you progress is by not being injured. These little things are going to make sure that your injury risk goes down dramatically. And the fifth and final point I would say that I wish I did as a beginner is not neglecting my legs and my cardio training. Yes, calisthenics is all about your upper body strength. And yes, it is true that, if your upper body is stronger than your lower body, then it becomes easier because your center of mass is shifted to the muscles that's actually working. But that being said, you don't want to have chicken legs. You don't want to have a lopsided physique. And imagine you could do all these crazy calisthenics movements, or you just get to a high level no matter which area of calisthenics you choose, but you can't, just squat your own body weight, or just walk up 10 flights of stairs, or you just get winded walking up the stairs in general. And related to cardio, your heart is a muscle too, and you should train it. In fact, it's the most important muscle that you'll ever train. So you don't have to become a crazy endurance athlete. You don't have to run a marathon or, run 10 seconds in the 100 meters. But just training your cardio and your legs is going to keep your body and physique balanced, and well as making sure that, you're training that body holistically. Again, you don't want your physique to be lopsided. You want to be that person that can do a planche but can't, deadlift your body weight, or you just get winded up the stairs. So just a little bit goes a long way. I'm not telling you need to have a crazy amount of legs, but just make sure that your legs are proportional and they're strong for your body weight relatively. Again, you don't have to go into powerlifting and squat and deadlift heavy amounts of weights. I'm not here to tell you that. Just make sure that you train them a few times a week and that you're getting your cardio in. And when it comes to cardio, you could do low steady state cardio or high intense cardio for a shorter amount of rest. And, just making sure that you're getting in leg training, core and cardio training every single week, then you're going to be set. So these are going to be the 5 things I wish I knew or focused more on when I was beginning of calisthenics. And if I focused more on these 5 things, then I wouldn't have gotten injured as much as I did at the start of my journey. And I probably would have reached where I am a lot sooner. So let me know how it goes. Come back to this video in a few months and let me know in the comments down below how these 5 principles change your calisthenics journey.